He played better, obviously, than week one, but still think there's areas he can improve and play to a higher standard. But was just proud of him for having a response where a lot of people would struggle in that situation. He kept his head up, had a good week of practice, teammates backed him, and was happy to see him come out and play better.
You guys really got on a roll in the second half, especially when you're starting to take control of the game. What adjustments did you guys make at halftime just to get on a roll?
Yeah, I think we changed personnel groups a little bit. I know people may not believe it when I said it a week ago, but that defense is a legit defense, and with a great coach running it. So we knew the problems they were going to create, and we knew it was going to be kind of a long game with them, that hopefully we could establish some physicality in the run game and hopefully wear them out at the end. And then from a protection standpoint, it's hard to drop back like you normally would because of all the issues they create in protection. So we knew it was going to be a little bit of a kind of a long game. Wish we would have got off to a better start, obviously. Had some opportunities there. But yeah, I think we just, again, we stayed committed to what we wanted to do in the game plan, didn't panic, and wanted to give our defense great field position, lean on them early, and then hopefully could wear them out late. And we did a good job running the ball late.
You mentioned the start. Were those, like, I think it was the 2-3 and outs that begin the game. Were those all kind of scripted plays, and do you have to adjust that when, I think there was second and long on both of them? Yeah,
we always have an opening script, okay. And yeah, the first play, we're trying to throw a screen to George, emphasizing just trying to get him the ball early, and we missed a block on the perimeter. And then the second drive, there was a miscommunication. They were yelling out stuff on defense, and kind of trying to get the center to snap the ball, and Kakani ended up snapping the ball without us signaling a snap, which they later got called for a penalty in the game for that. So just some early nerves things that, again, we got to do a better job starting the game faster and trying to get up on teams. So again, if we can get a lead on teams and turn our defense loose and not play so tight, that it'll help us out, obviously, early in games.
If you look at Georgia's
signal thing happen, the defense, I'm assuming, is constantly talking, but how much does that really affect what?
There's a lot of different things going on there, Bob, because a lot of teams in the shotgun are going to go off of the clap, and so guys could be clapping on defense to try to get guys' attention, to get guys to move. That could signal a snap. It could be they're trying to stem the defensive front. As they're doing that, they're screaming it, and then they're trying to do two things: they're trying to move their front, but also try to jolt the offense. And a lot of teams use that mechanism, and as they should. But that was the one that just kind of got him snapping the ball before we were ready for it. Those kind of plays can kill drives, obviously.
If you look at George's track record through his career, he gets stronger as the season goes along, and it's kind of happening again this year. Maybe that applies within a game. He gets stronger as the game goes on. How do you get George off to a faster start in the game and in a season?
Yeah, I think what we were trying to do early on there, Mike, is maybe get him some balls on the perimeter, maybe throw him a couple, so it wasn't just handing the ball off to him downhill. And because it takes, with the zone scheme that we're heavy on right now, it takes some time for the O-line to get into a rhythm with that every week, and so it's probably finding ways to get him the ball on the perimeter in different ways, line him up in different spots, so maybe he can get feeling it a little bit. But I'm with you. I think he does get stronger as games go. That has proven with his running style. So we just have to stay committed to him and committed to the run game. Because when we do, we've shown that late in games it tends to pay off. So it's trying to find that balance of, we got to get points early in the game, we got to be aggressive early in the game and get after teams, but also we need to be able to establish run early and land some body blows so that later in the fight that those pay off.
Does the line get better too? I mean, like, you got a confusing defense that they have. I would think the more you see it, maybe the better you understand it. So does the
absolutely.
Line get better?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with a defense like that. I don't know how in depth you guys get with that, but if you watch the amount of movement their defensive front is doing, it is complete chaos. And it's not something you can really practice, even though our scout team did a tremendous job this week getting those guys ready. And the only reason we were able to run the ball with any efficiency was because of the look we got from our scout team. So you can't really simulate that. I would compare it to like a triple option on offense. You can't really simulate that until you get into the game and you see it and you feel it. So yeah, our offensive line did a tremendous job throughout the game, but you could see them get more confidence in picking up the movement and understanding where they were going to be And Hank did a tremendous job targeting the run game and getting guys in the right spots. And I think they got a little rhythm with that as the game got going.
You like to mix and match George and Ashton within the same series. Other coaches maybe rotate series. Is your thought process about how you use running backs within a game?
Sometimes what it comes down to, Mike, is George might get tired, right? Like maybe he has a couple runs or he's out there for 5-6 plays, the drive's longer. And so we have some studies we've done through practice on GPS on guys' workload and how their effectiveness goes throughout a certain amount of plays. And so if that's the case, then you put in a fresh running back. Remember, the defense has been out there for the same amount of plays. So if they don't sub, those guys are pretty tired. Now you throw in a fresh running back that they have to deal with. So it's kind of along those lines. And then sometimes we'll maybe start a drive with Ashton, a couple drives in just to get a different flow of that. And doing the same thing, though. If he starts a drive, same thing. We're kind of tracking his numbers from what we know from practice to know how many plays he can probably go before we get George back in.
Why was Friday the perfect time to sprinkle a little Cole Wright into the offense? And is that a guy that could see his role grow or opportunities grow?
I hope so. Jay. He's got a lot of talent. Still a younger guy, and has been practicing really well. And that was why we wanted to get him a couple things in the game. Hey man, we're going to put you in for these plays and get you rolling, because he had practiced so well that we wanted to reward that. And was awesome to see a guy. Sometimes you get him in there and the lights come on and maybe he doesn't play as well as he does in practice, but to see him make that catch, I think those are one of those things that can springboard a guy's career. Just the receivers I've coached, it takes them a couple games, they catch a ball, they make a good play, and now they feel like they're a part of it and their role grows. So with his speed and route running ability, and with us losing Bolt, which was really a guy that we were going to lean on this year, that's definitely a guy whose role needs to grow, and I know it will as he continues to practice well and get better reps.
Maybe kind of along those same lines, you look at Latrell Caples. I mean, he was beaming after the game, getting into the end zone twice, and the way that you got him the ball. And how versatile is he, and what can he provide?
Yeah, the first thing about him, Jay, is just like the story of him with all the injuries he's dealt with and just his background and what he's been through. That was pretty emotional for all of us just to see him get some touchdowns and get some joy with playing. He's an integral part of what we do. He's great in the run game, which people don't see. He's very physical, and we want to get him the ball a lot in games if we can in different ways. And again, I think we got a bunch of good wideouts. We got to piece it together on where to put them and how to get them good matchups so they can succeed.
When you look at Ashton, I mean, I know you guys saw it in fall camp and even spring ball, but is he doing stuff that's making you need to find even more ways to involve him in the game plan?
Yeah, I mean, I think what he showed on Friday was what we saw in camp, which was he's extremely elusive, catches the ball well, but he runs with some physicality. And when you're a young guy and you have a fumble maybe in the first game, I think what shows the type of player and person he is how he responded right away within the first game and how he came back this week, played even better. He's a special player, but you got to realize, again, if you're putting both of them in the game, who are you taking out of the game? And if you're putting him in, you're taking George out sometimes. So there's definitely a chess match there of how many times we want to get those guys in. But I think of the plays we had, right, those guys touched the ball. I think 61% of the game went to either Ashton or George because of how dynamic those two guys are.
I know Mike was asking about George, but I mean, how much of a 1-2 punch can those two guys be if they're both going strong at the same time?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty elite group. I've been coaching a while now. I don't think I've had two backs like that could really be game changers at any moment. So I think as their rhythm continues to grow and their confidence grows, and as the season progresses, I think they'll get stronger, more confident. I can see us having similar days to what they had the other night.
What's the percentage of like when plays run that are exactly your calls, and then Hank kind of having to see the defense and then make adjustments at the line?
Yeah, Hank adjusted 26 of the 66 plays in the game. Yeah.
What does that mean in terms of adjustment? Is that audible, like hot routes, or what?
Some of it is based on what he sees at the line of scrimmage, his freedom to change plays. Some of it's based on we might have two plays called. Some of it's he gets up to the line of scrimmage and notices something different. And again, that's a lot to put on a quarterback. That's just the way I was taught when I was a player within that system. How for the run game and pass game to be successful, they got to have a good understanding of what's going on in protection and in run game. And so again, I think that can become overwhelming. We got to do a good job as a staff of piecing together, what he can handle and what he can't. but everyone's going to judge by how many touchdown passes did he throw, or how many yards did he throw for, which obviously those stats matter too. But what they don't see is that he was 100% in the run game for us this week, and he was close to 100% in getting us in the right protections this week. And if he does that, that sets up everyone to be successful, and that just comes from training and getting good practice during the week.
Of those 26, when you go back and watch them, like how many were the right call? Was it
all?
All.
Yeah.
Taylor got in for a snap. Was that just kind of shake things up?
Yeah, we want to use him, right? We want to get him in the game as much as possible. But mixing quarterbacks up can be tough within a flow of a game. But he is such a threat, obviously, with his running ability, and he can still be a threat passing. But sometimes you bring in a wildcat quarterback, and everyone knows he's going to run. He proved that he can throw the ball. So we got to find different ways. Every week might be a little different, might be more some weeks than others. But would love to get his dynamic ability in the game sometimes if we can in certain situations.
What is he in UT Mark?
Yeah, they're an extremely talented team. I got a lot of respect, obviously, with my career in the FCS ranks. If you're a playoff team in the FCS, you're a serious football team. And on defense, they got a lot of great athletes. They got a dynamic front. They do a lot of different things on the back end. I think they're top in their conference at stopping the run every year. So there's a lot of things we got to deal with this week, and need to make sure we stick to our process and play our best.
Style-wise, is there anybody that you would compare them to with this play?
I think they remind me a little bit of BYU from a defensive structure, and just from what they play from a front standpoint and what they play coverage-wise, it's similar to that, I would say a little bit. But definitely unique to them and to that conference. I think if you look at the OVC conference, a lot of those teams play that style of defense, which is usually how it goes in different conferences. A lot of guys are going to steal from each other. So if you go through all those teams, like we used to do back in the day, we would play them in the playoffs, you get all those similar looks.
Tim, I know that Khalil probably skewed the numbers on the 50-50 balls last year. Billy had a couple of opportunities it looked like. I know those are tough catches, but how much of that needs to be a part of the offense where somebody does go up and make a play in those scenarios?
Yeah, I mean, it's no question our pass game is what I think has been definitely lacking in the first two games. And from a guy that grew up in the offense of throwing the football all over the yard, it's definitely something that's hard for me to sleep at night if we're not throwing the ball for closer to 300 yards. And right now we're in a lot of third and longs, and we're not successful on our third and longs right now. Third downs in those scenarios, it's going to come down to a guy winning his matchup, an accurate throw with good protection, and a guy making plays. And so there's been a combination of whether it's been inaccuracy from the quarterback or a guy not winning that 50-50 rep or winning on that route, where I know our guys are motivated and emphasizing that this week, that, hey, we've got to be able to throw the ball with more efficiency and with more aggressiveness to be the offense that we want to be. I have all the faith in the world in Bill, and I know he's going to come down with those balls because I've seen him do it in the past. So we're not going to stop taking opportunities to throw him the ball. And for whatever reason, we didn't come down with him the other night, but it doesn't mean we're going to stop throwing him.
Building off of kind of that, are there any more tangible things about the offense that needs to improve by Saturday, especially in front of the home crowd?
Got to get off to a faster start in all areas of the offense, just in efficiency and how we run things. And then need to be more explosive in the pass game, need to be more efficient in the pass game so that we can have a little more balance. So that, again, that will help out everything.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.